stay heavier.
Right.
If someone taps this side with a hammer, this will come forward too.
I don't have enough ass pounds to do that.
Yeah, look, when my earplugs in, someone give me a hammer.
All right, CARB Jeep Speed Shop. Here we have my guinea pig Jeep, my 08 Jeep JKL 2-door. So, as you can see, we cut it in half. We're gonna make it longer. So, this is just a quick video of this Jeep, but we cut out these joining pieces that join the rear half of the frame to the front half of the frame. And these are the new sections here that we're going to be installing to lengthen the Jeep 10 inches. And we're going to lengthen the Jeep in the middle, so right behind the driver's door. But first we're going to do the frame. So we cut the frame up. Well, basically pulled the slugs out, but it was kind of hard because I added this cross member here for my triangulated 4-link rear, and there are slugs like right here where the tube went in. They welded here to weld the pieces together. Well, there was one in here and can't get to it from here, as you can see. So it took a little work to get this piece out because of this weld right here. And this one here wasn't that bad. We got it from the outside, and then you got to cut out these welds here to pull the tube out. So that was the same on both sides. And so going to the front, I had a cross member. And so you can see kind of a square piece cut out. We had a cross member I had bolted here with some slugs. So we just cut this piece out to pull this piece out because the slugs went into the outer piece and then the inner piece. So another weld here. So in this piece here, we had to cut that out. Had to cut these all out, all the way around, but there's no inner weld on the front, like in the rear. So didn't have to cut it up here, but I have this gusset here that I added, this piece here, this glove part, that so I can hook my lower control arm brackets to. And luckily, there was not a weld inside here, so that made it easier for the fronts. But there is this one though. This part here, so the tube came inside here and then they welded it right there, and we had to cut that weld out. So, you know, it's a little bit of work to do this, obviously. And we can kind of go over it a little bit, but we had to do the same on this side too. You can see the square piece that's cut out. So we'll add all that later. Yeah, we're getting there. Something I've been wanting to do for 10 years now, and finally came to the point where it's time to do it. And this is the frame portion of this stretch, or this conversion. So this is just a part of it. I guess this would be video 1 of stretching the frame on my 08 JK 2-door, which are going to make it a 10-inch longer Jeep in the middle. And then we'll get to the body section in later videos where we're going to actually section the Jeep right here. So right behind the door, we're going to stretch it 10 inches. All right, well, frame first, body second. All right, here we are putting the frame back together. So now we got to do some measurements. Obviously, we're adding 10 inches, so we're going to add 10 inches to the new tube that we're installing. And we are, what I would tell you if anybody else was doing this, measure the distance between here and there, and the same in the rear. My rear hasn't moved. This did move 1/4 of an inch because we took measurements, and we got height measurements, and then we also used a tram gauge for length measurements, so we can get this square and straight again. When you do this, make sure you take measurements. But this is all holding up pretty good. And this is all, looks like it's working out all right. And we'll do more and more video as we go. And I'll talk about measurements and stuff like that because there's not much out there as far as information. So, but it looks like we're going to be adding 10 here. to what it was before. So we measured the old piece and then added 10, and we're gonna put it together and gauge it and see where we're at. All right, we're getting there slowly but surely. So we got the rear parts of the rails in, and then we'll be putting the fronts in soon, and then talk about what we got going on. All right, so we're putting this JKL frame lengthen together. The measurements are a little bit hard to find, but we came up with this to make this Jeep part 10 inches longer in this frame rail piece. So we're measuring from, there's a hole right there, center of that hole to the edge of this oval hole. We're going with 45 inches on each side for the length. And then we did a diagonal from that hole there to this hole here to that hole there, and the same on that side, and we were on the money. So we did a diagonal, a length measurement, and then a level, which is boom right there. So just for the next guy that wants to do one of these, and we also put these legs in, weld the legs in, level all four corners, just so it was easy. So to level the Jeep before we took it apart, and so it'd be easier to put back together. It was a bugger getting the old pieces out of the frame. As you can see, the piece here on the ground, they were a little harder to get out, but we got them out, and that was probably to do with my suspension I put in this Jeep years ago. But looks like it's working. So we are now 10 inches longer. So just some basic measurements, because there is none really out there. All right, well, here's the frame for our 08 JK two-door that we extended, that we are going to make into a JKL now. Added 10 inches. These are the frame sections that we added. We took out the old pieces, which wasn't easy on this Jeep just because of this one, but I think if it were a more stock Jeep, probably be simpler, because when I added all this suspension stuff, it made it a little harder to get the frame rails out. So, but got them out nonetheless. So that means it's totally doable, and so now we are making this Jeep a little longer. Don't know if I'm going to reuse the TJ gas tank or not. We're still debating on that. We are going to change out the rear end in this to a Dana 80. I'm going to get rid of the high pinion and put it in the black Jeep. But yeah, and this is the tram gauge we used to measure square and length, just so that we make sure everything's straight and square. And this is the front of the Jeep, and then there is the other part of the Jeep. So you can kind of see a tape line. We're going to cut that apart next week, because we got to add 10 inches because the frame is now longer. So, all right, well, I'm just doing a couple of videos of the process that we had to go through to get this Jeep stretched. I've only been wanting to do this for 10 years, just got so busy and things just got in the way. And so this Jeep just got put off, wasn't important. So this should help it a lot, because this thing did not climb very good. Every time I used to climb it, I used to pull the front wheels up, even though I had a tie-down winch. But hopefully 10 inches should do it, and we're gonna lower it probably a couple inches too. And so here is the tub, which we're gonna cut apart next week. And about that area, we're gonna stretch it right behind the door. But we still got a little more wiring, a little more cleanup to do inside this Jeep, because there's been so many things added and subtracted and so on. So I'm gonna clean all that stuff up too. Get rid of what we don't need and add what we do, and get rid of the LS and put in a Hemi. So that's the goal. All right, well, it'll be video number next. All right, here we go. All right, Todd Edward Jeep Speed Shop. Here we are back on the guinea pig project, red. So we had to drill out some spot welds, which is, yeah, that's a lot of fun. So we had to do these, drill out these spot welds. We had to drill these all the way through. This is the back section where my seat would mount. So this is where the actual seat would mount on the Jeep. And then we had to do this side also. So I think we drilled a couple extras. These up here, we didn't need to drill those. Those up here we didn't need to do. These and these you did. And then these need to be drilled out because we're actually got to take this thing off. So this will have to be taken off, I believe, for my seat. That's where it mounts. So this one here stays because, let's see if I can come around to this. These pieces here are the floor pieces. So we have a couple of those, one for each side, and those go up in this area. So that's this. So this whole cross member, we're gonna replace. This one stays, but we're gonna add another one. So we'll get to that in a future video. So, all right, well, this is the underneath. And so I welded my Jeep. So there was no pinch weld. I welded it, so I had to cut it loose here. We have to drill out some more of the spot welds here. And we had to drill out those spot welds there, cut the fender there. And we cut the fender here so that we can stretch all this stuff in the middle, but it looks like I got some more drilling to do. So not the body guy, that's for sure. So I am more of, I guess maybe the engine guy, I don't know, but definitely not the body guy. So all right, we gotta do this side too. Obviously we cut this. We did some of the spot welds here, so we gotta do some more. All right, we will be back cutting some more spot welds. All right, now we're on the top side, and we took this panel off, which is right there, which is easy. This is a ton of foam we gotta take out. And then this piece here, is gonna go like so. And then we'll add the other piece back. So that's the stretch right there. That's how far it's going back. So we'll go to the other side, which we haven't finished. So this side here, we're gonna do next. So we made a cut here, and then this needs to go straight. So we're gonna go straight with this cut it all the way down, loosened it there, cut all this part here out because I welded all this together because I got rid of the pinch seam down here. So I gotta weld this back together when I go to put it back. But this, so we can get this all apart so we can get access to the inside. And then we did a bunch of all these spot welds we had to cut out or drill out, which was a lot of fun. So, all right, well, we're getting there. This is definitely a huge process. And it is, I wouldn't say it's easy, but see, I'm not a body guy, so not easy for me, but we're gonna take some video in stages on how this is going. And so far, not super hard. You know what I mean? It's just stressful the first time. I guess you hear that a lot, right? It's like putting a Hemi in for your first time. You know, what do you get? All the parts, what do you do? How do you do it? You know, so I get it. I understand all that, so. But yeah, no, here we go. This is step number next. And we'll just keep chipping away at this thing until we get it. So, all right, on to the next move. All right, here's this next part of the video where cutting the Jeep in half. That was not easy. Definitely not as easy as it seems. Well, it definitely didn't seem easy, but it was this area right here, a little complex because you have to cut out a piece of the old body part. This is the cross member you're gonna reuse, which was stuck in there like you wouldn't believe. So that was really a bugger to get that out of there. So I actually cut it, so I'm gonna have to re-weld that back together because that did not come out. Actually, the piece is still right here, and we drilled all the spot welds out. We did everything. I just didn't want to bend the crap out of that piece trying to hammer it out of there. So we just cut it and I'll just weld it back on, because that was kind of a bugger. And then we retained all this part, and I'll show in the next video where we added the piece to the Jeep that we bought from Chrysler, which is this piece here. So this piece here, we cut out the section that we need, which is the back section, which is actually this piece, but we have a new one that's gonna now attach back here, and then the rail is gonna go forward. And then we'll reattach it to here. We're gonna add another one of these cross members here, because that's where the seat bolt's down. So we bought another cross member from Jeep. We bought that piece there from Jeep that we need to add back, so we can have the seats mount back and all that panel filled back in again. So it was a bugger getting it apart. Not gonna say that was easy at all. Probably the hardest part of doing all this was cutting it apart and trying not to cut it to where you're gonna be like, oh, I gotta weld it all back together. So we saved this piece. Don't know if we needed to or not, but we saved this piece. We'll see, you know, when we go to put it back together, if that's what we needed to do or not. But yeah, no, it's sitting back on the frame again. So here's this side, mirror image of that side, but you know, back to saving as much of this piece as possible, save this piece. We also had to cut this off, same scenario as the other side, it just didn't come loose. You know, drilled all the spot welds out, but it still hung in there. So just figured it was easier to cut it. So that's what we did. So this is the 10-inch piece that we have to add back to make all this work. So it's actually working out really well. Not easy though. I'm gonna tell you, it's definitely not easy. And he makes seat brackets to move the seat back forward again, but I'm just gonna leave the seat in the back. Actually, I never use the seat, so all that's gonna retain the same. So we'll just have more space behind the driver and passenger seats, I guess, because we really don't use the rear seat, even though I have it, and I've only had the seat in the Jeep, I don't know, for 6 months, and then I took it out. So, but yeah, no, here it is. It is coming back together. So hopefully by the end of today, we can weld all these pieces back in and get this thing back together. So, but we're this far, 2 days. Well, so probably 6 hours a day, 2 days, you know. Still, holy crap, this is definitely a ton of work. Not easy. And then you always want to make sure you don't cut it wrong or do something wrong. So probably, like they always say, yeah, it'd be easier the second and third time, but I don't know, man. I'm not the body guy. So, all right, well, here we are at this stage of it. So, you know, if anybody else wants to do this, I don't even know if Eric sells kits, but to people exactly. I think he has shops do it. But here it is. If somebody does buy a kit, it's probably the best I could do about showing where we're at with this, and we'll show the next step on how I'm going to weld all this stuff back together. All right, on to step number next. All right, step number next. So here we are trying to get this panel here, which is a Chrysler or Mopar part, or Jeep, whichever you want to say it. This is a factory part that we're having to install. So we had to move it back, obviously 10 inches. So here's the other one. Here's the new one. So we're having to fit this in, kind of doing some trimming and a little bit of work massaging this baby to fit. And it's fitting pretty good. You know, we're getting there. This is the time consuming part, seems like, right here, where you always look at the big pieces. But this is a little more time consuming. So here's the old one, which is this piece here. Here's where it still is. And then we bought another one, this one, and we're adding that so it can fill in the fender right there. So we're doing a little bit of massaging, a little work here. It's taking a little bit to get it right or close enough, you know. So Pretty happy with how it's turning out, but this is not easy. At least in my eyes, because I'm not a body guy. And this is definitely a little bit of work. And so there's the other side that we're still got to be working on. And we're getting it all level and straight. Here's this side, which is turning out good. You can kind of see it a little better like this, I think. So, and then here is this filler panel, which will go also right in here, which we'll show later. We also put the bars in for the roll bar and put a piece of angle iron, some not zip ties, some hose clamps. Did that on both sides just to square up the top, square up this bottom part, and then you can see you got a level over there. So we're trying to get it all level and square and straight. And we're getting there. The body's actually mounted to the body mounts. And then we're just getting this panel in that we're trying to fit right now, and it's getting there. This is definitely not an easy deal because you really got to cut this thing apart to get this piece out and then to add it. And then we still got a cross member to add here, which is this cross member here. We got to put a new one that we bought here. So yeah, we still got a little bit more to go, and we're getting there. It's looking good. It's just time consuming. This is definitely the hard part, and I'm not the body man. So, all right. So we're gonna move on to section number next. All right. All right, here we are into what I would call step number next. We are slowly but surely mocking this up, welding it together, and fitting it all. It's definitely a menagerie of pieces, especially around here. So, but we're getting there. There's this side, test fitting it and getting it set up. Here's a little bit better shot of this side as we're slowly putting her back together. Man, it is just a little tight in there. A little bit tight, but we're getting it. And then that was, let me see if I can walk around here. Woo. So, let's see if I can do this right here. So here's that panel, actually right here. So this we buy from Chrysler, and this is the end actually, that you got cut off. We have evidently 4 more. I don't think we're gonna be using those, but we have to cut this piece off. That's part of the inner, I guess, tub piece that we have to extend. So here is this piece, but the one that's still welded to the roll bar. So here's this. This is what we add, because we added 10 inches, obviously. And so that's what we have to add and then fit all that. Yeah, it's kind of a, you know, a little bit of a, I don't know, just takes time fitting it all. It's like body work. It can be really hard, so. All right, well, this is step number next on getting this inner piece put together and how we're doing it. And, you know, you can see where we cut it. This is the old piece, that's the new piece where we had to cut it and form it together and start tacking it all up. So, all right, this is how you make a JK 2-door into a JKL longer 2-door. All right, well, did a little more welding to install these pieces, the inner sheet metal, but man, it gets a little bit complicated down in here about getting this whole mess put together, but we're getting there. Welding all this stuff together and getting everything positioned, man, I tell you. But it's working out. So working on this side too at the same time, getting everything all set up. Tough, I'm gonna tell you, this ain't easy, but it's doable. So here it is on this side. Still got a few things to button up on this side. to get it all ready, but slowly but surely, man, coming together. We still have a couple mystery pieces. Not exactly sure where we're gonna put that, even though it's labeled. So, but we'll figure it out, because we have a couple holes. So we gotta fill in some holes. So, all right, well, it's coming together. It's looking good. I think that we should have this part wrapped up today, and then maybe a little bit about here. So we haven't figured out how we want to do out here yet. A couple of ideas we're kicking around. So, but all right, another picture of us getting it closer and closer together. All right, well, here's the cross members we need to add, but I had to add the seat bolt. So they had the seat bolt like in a weird area, so I don't know why it was different, but we had to move the seat bolt. I got to take a seat bolt out so I can weld in another seat bolt, and we had to do that to both sides. So we had to add the seat bolts. So it was here, but it needs to be here, so we moved it, and then I got to add the seat bolt for there. Here is the inner rockers that we had to cut. This is the part we don't use, and this is the area we had to cut it. So let's see, and then here you can see here's the rest of the inner rocker. Right in there, my finger is where we had to splice them together. So we had to cut the old back half of this rocker out to add this one to it. So there's definitely a lot of pieces and stuff we had to do here. And we still got a little more fill-in panel to do for the inside. So we got to fill in here. So we got a fill-in panel for here. And then I think we're done with the side. So we got to do the same to both sides. So we got to add a fill-in panel. And then we still got to weld this back together. And then the cross member is going to go right in here, in this area. So, because this is where the seats obviously mounts in this area. So that cross member is going to go back for the seat, basically only for the seat, because that's the body mount. So this is the old cross member for the seat right there, and then your body bolt. So this is I got to cut that bolt out, or nut I should say, and add it to the other one. I got to do the same on both sides. So when we raise the body off, I'll cut those out, weld them in. So we're getting there. Had to add the pockets for the seat floor, and man, we still got a little ways more to go, but yeah, it's a slow process, you know, but you want to do it right, and it's the first time, so there's a lot of little things to learn and know, and we're getting there. All right, I think this is the first one documented. Normally these guys don't sell a kit for someone to do at home, from what I hear. So Eric was a good guy, and I bought this from him for a while ago. So it's for us to do this, because I've been wanting to do this for like 11 years, and now we're getting closer. All right, well, this is stage number next. We're getting closer and closer as we go. All right, well, on to the next stage. All right, well, here we are putting the floor back in on the JKL project that we got going on, the guinea pig. My 08, or our 08, Jeep JK, two-door that we're extending 10 inches, and we're getting the floor back in now. Man, a lot of work. So we still got a little ways more to go, but it's pretty roughed in right now. And got the nuts in for the seat. There's another nut for the seat, and then we still got to put the other two on that side, or at least one. Getting all the floor welded in, and tomorrow is the outer panel. So, but here's the rest of the floor. We got a little more tacking to do, and a little more filling here and there. We got to fill in the holes for the e-brake, cut the studs off, because the e-brake now is up here. So there's the new bolts for the e-brake. There's the new holes for the e-brake cables, and we're gonna use cables from a 4-door. So those should work. And now we're getting her together. So this project's getting closer and closer to completing this stage of it. And so the floor's working out. A little more welding, little seam seal, some more lizard skin, kind of seal this thing up, but it's looking really good. And on to the next part of this project. So been kind of documented as we go, and it's turning out really well, and I'm happy with it, man. It's gonna be awesome. Another 10-inch wheelbase, so this thing will be 110. I think that's perfect in my eyes. So all right, on to the next leg of the project. All right, well, here's one of the next stages of the JKL build. So we got the floor in, still got a little more to do on the floor, but it's pretty much all mocked up. Floor is in, the inner panels are in, so we just have a little more cleanup work to do to get it all sorted out. And all that's done-ish. Doors are on, they fit perfect. Got the quarters done-ish. So we've still got a little bit of work. Obviously we've got body work and stuff to do, but we're getting those done also. Got a quick peek from the back. So this side's a little more done. So we're getting there. We're getting there. So, but man, 10 more inches. I think it's gonna make a big difference in the Jeep and the way it operates. So super happy about that. So yeah, no, we're coming along with this project. So this got a lot to go on this project. So I see this to be a long-term deal. We got plenty to do that I've been wanting to do. Kind of update it, get it better, and get this thing all worked out. So, all right. Hey, the doors fit. So that was a good sign. So, all right, happy with it so far. So we'll probably pull the body, do some body work. I got to do some stuff to the frame. So we're going to lower the Jeep 3 inches and put a Hemi in it now. So I got to get the Hemi all worked in, because I'm going to raise the Hemi up a little bit because I need some room because of my tie rod. So, but at least for now, all this part is done. So, because my tie rod in this Jeep is in the back, not in the front. So I got to, because the oil pan might hit the tie rod. All right, well, on to the next step.